Good morning, everyone. Happy Thursday, and welcome to our class on prospecting for sellers. This is a class dedicated to realtors and how we can find sellers using the available programs that we have as members of the Association of Realtors. Guys, we're recording our session, and you can always find our recordings inside of YouTube. So I will post this video later on this afternoon in YouTube. All right, so this is a prospecting class. We're gonna be looking for ways to find sellers. Obviously, one way, which doesn't require our software, is by driving around and looking for sale by owner signs, right? I mean, if you're driving around in any neighborhood community and you find a for sale by owner sign, we're realtors. You definitely want to park your car, take a picture of the house, take a picture of the sign, make a phone call, and try and talk to the owner and see if the property is definitely on the market and are they working with a realtor. They say no, then you guys know what you need to do, right? You need to schedule an appointment, tell them you have buyers, get in the door, do things to get in that door. All right. For the rest of the program, of course, we're going to be depending on some of the tools that are available to us. All right. So we're going to use Matrix, we're going to use IMAP, and we're going to use Remind. And the reason we use these three is because these are the top three programs that are available to us when it comes to data, right? Data. So first thing that you guys need to realize is that when you're prospecting, you can't assume that you're going to attack an entire city, right? It's just way too large of an area. You need to focus on maybe a small community or a few buildings in your area or your desired area. And the way we can do that, of course, is using IMAP. You can also use Remind, which I'm going to use in today's class as well. I just want you guys to uh, get accustomed to using IMAP because it's a very powerful tool. Let's go ahead and open up IMAP real quick. And then, of course, IMAP is right up here. All right, guys, IMAP is right up here. You will open it up and you have tax search, which allows you to look through all public record. So whether you want to find a single property or an entire community or an entire building, you can find them inside of IMAP. The IMAP also gives you the ability to run an MLS search, which we will practice because we want to look for expired listings, right? We want to search for expired listings and perhaps get people's phone numbers so we can call those expired listings. And then we also have a foreclosure search. Any property that is in foreclosure will show up here inside of IMAP for any county in all of Florida. As a realtor who's prospecting, you may want to contact the owners that are facing foreclosure and give them an option, right? They have options. One of the options could be to sell their property. So we are going to go through some of those exercises in the class. All right. So let's go ahead and get started inside of IMAP. We're going to click on tax search. And I just want to show you some of the basics so you understand how to maybe pull the community that you want to target. Let's say that you live in this address. I'm going to put in an address here and we're going to pretend today that we live in this address. All right. So let's go ahead and put in an address here. And this is an address in Coral Gables, and I'm going to go ahead and click on enter. So if I live here, or maybe I sold this property and I want to prospect, you see right down here where it says subdivision. All right, so the subdivision name here is Coral Gables Section C. So if I want to prospect and I want to reach out to every owner in Coral Gables Section C, then I'm going to copy the subdivision. If it's a building, then you're going to see the building name. If it's a community of townhomes, then you're going to see the community name as well, the subdivision. And of course, if it's just a subdivision of homes in within a city like Coral Gables, then you'll see the subdivision name. So now that you copied it, you want to come over here to new search And you want to find the line right here that says subdivision name equal to, and you just want to go ahead and paste it, right? You want to paste it, and you want to come down here and not down here, sorry, you want to go to the right and you want to click on start search. So in this subdivision, there are 180 homes. You'll see right here 180 results. IMAP is showing me the first 100 results, and then you have the next 80 results on the next page. All right. So this is how you can identify an entire community. And if you want to download a spreadsheet, remember IMAP gives you the ease of downloading spreadsheets over here on the right-hand side. You can also print mailing labels if you have postcards and you want to make some mailing labels. So let's practice the downloading of the results. Let's click on download, and you have several options. You have a full tax record. You also have owner address and you have phone number. I normally go right to the phone number report and I click on next. And then we're going to click on next again. Choose whether you want a spreadsheet, right? Or if you just want a PDF. All right. So I'm just going to go with a PDF here. And that's not a PDF, that's a DBF. All right, let's just go to the spreadsheet. All right, and let's click on create download. All right, so I'm opening the spreadsheet. Let me go ahead and share it with you guys so you can see that we just downloaded a spreadsheet of everyone in this subdivision. We have all the owner names, we have the property address, and then we have a column with phone numbers. Now, not every phone number is going to be available, right? But these are phone numbers that are available to us in this subdivision. Now, you're going to find a lot less phone numbers in buildings, right? You're going to be more successful at finding phone numbers for these owners when you're looking at a subdivision of homes. Okay, so we have phone number report. Let's go ahead and share back the screen with IMAP. So you have the phone number report and then you also have mailing labels. So let's take a look here, mailing labels. And you guys want to create a mailing label either to the owner at the property address or the owner address. Always, when you're trying to reach the owner themselves, always choose owner address because they may not live in this community. They may live in another city or in another state or even sometimes in another country. So owner address is going to get you their mailing address. You click on next step, and then we're going to go ahead and run a PDF here, and let's create the labels. Here's the PDF with the owner's address. Let's check it out. So right here, we have an owner who lives in the United Kingdom. Here we have an owner who lives in New York, right? And then there's an owner right here who lives in San Juan, Puerto Rico. So there are owners who live outside of the country, and you will have the mailing address. So when you get to write to the owner, you want to definitely let them know, hey, owner, I am talking to you or I'm writing to you in reference to your property in Coral Gables. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and close that out and let's go back into IMAP. So that was a simple exercise that I wanted to show you how to identify a subdivision and how to create a spreadsheet with phone numbers and also how to download the mailing labels for your postcards. Now from here, we're gonna go and click on modify criteria over here on the right-hand side. You see this here? Modify criteria. Let me show you how to identify the owners that have homestead exemption. All right. So we're gonna open up one of the fields that you are not using on the left, and we're gonna go ahead and select owner occupied. Owner occupied, and then we're gonna answer yes. These are owners, remember 180 owners, right? These are the owners that have homestead exemption, 163. So that means there are 17 homes here who do not have homestead exemption. If you do not have homestead exemption, you are most probably renting the home out to, renters. I'm going to turn this back around. Let's click on modify criteria. Instead of answering yes, let's answer no. Let's click on start search. We should have 17. 17 homes are considered absentee owners. So what do you do when they're absentee owners? You may want to target them and say, hey, are you tired of holding your investment property? Property values are still very high in South Florida. Maybe it's a good time to sell. Or maybe just introduce yourself as the area expert, right? The area realtor. Remember, prospecting takes time. You can't just expect to send them a mail out and have results, immediate results. It's going to take time. You need to be persistent. So these 180 homes, I'm probably going to target them for an entire year every other month. I'm probably going to send them a postcard every other month or maybe even every month if it's within my budget. All right. So that is how you identify homestead exemption versus absentee owners. Absentee owners are the ones that do not have a homestead exemption. Now, another way that we can utilize IMAP to find potential sellers, we're going to go ahead and click on new search. And here for zip code, we're going to put in zip code 33134, which is a zip code right here in Coral Gables. And the property use code, I'm going to go ahead and enter single family, right? Let's look for single family homes. Property use code is your property type. So if you're looking for multifamily, 10 units or more, you can select that. We're going to select single family. And I want to find property owners who have unpaid property taxes. Unpaid property taxes. So we're going to use one of the fields that we're not, using on the left-hand side, and we're going to look for taxes are delinquent. Taxes are delinquent. We're going to go ahead and say yes. We're looking for property owners in zip code 33134 who have unpaid property taxes. Let's click on Start Search. And here we have 78 owners, 78 properties that have unpaid property taxes. Now, how do you see the details for one of these properties? On the right, there's a little blue icon, right? You click there and it takes you right into the property. So I'm going to click back. On the right, find a little blue icon, like a little paper icon. Just click on it and it takes you right into the property. All right. And now, if it is delinquent in taxes, then you'll see a red notification like this underneath the valuation that says this property has been reported as delinquent in paying property taxes starting in 2023. You can always click on County Tax Collector, that link that you see right in that red notification, and it's going to take you to the County Tax Collector's website where it's going to tell you how much in taxes is due. Sometimes multiple years are due. So as you can see here, they have not yet paid their 2023 taxes. And then, of course, they have not paid their 2024 taxes. So that's 2 years of taxes with a total amount of 14,506. So they have fallen behind on their property taxes. Another great reason for us to reach out to the owner and see if selling their home is an option, right? After 2 years of unpaid property taxes, the county is going to then sell their tax, debt. It's called a tax lien. They're going to sell their tax lien to investors, investors who are going to pay for those tax liens and tax certificates. And now these investors have the right to charge the homeowner the total amount due plus very high interest, up to 18%. So owners do not want to find themselves in this scenario because if they do not pay those investors can then foreclose on the home. All right. So what do you do? Of course, you go back over here to the property and you take a look here at the owner's names. We do not have phone numbers, so you're going to have to find other ways to find people's phone numbers. Guys, I've mentioned this in a previous class before. You can use truepeoplesearch.com. Truepeoplesearch.com, enter the name of the owner and their address, and you may be able to find people's phone numbers. How else can we find people's phone numbers? Use Remind. Use Remind. So it's right in here in our resources. You click on Remind, and then you come up here and you enter the property address. So what's the property address? 3900 Southwest 2nd Street. So we're going to come over here in Remind, and then we're going to put in 3900 Southwest 2nd Street. All right, there it is. There's the property. All right. You can go here, you can click on see all and see more information. So they have 100% equity on the property, yet they have 2 years of unpaid property taxes. Go figure, right? And then you come down here and you take a look at the transaction. There was a quick claim deed, right? So there was a quick claim deed, a transfer of title performed back in 2023. And then you come down here where it says owner and associated people, and you're gonna have the owners right here. So there was no contact information on IMAP for the owner. There is no contact information for the owner inside of Remind. So you're gonna have to try and find other ways to get a hold of the owners. You can try TruePeopleSearch.com, which is free, or you can do mailers, or perhaps you can go and just knock on the door of the owner. All right. There's a question on the chat. Let me go ahead and review that. So, Paola, after the third year of not paying, so yes, after the third year. So, if you've accumulated 2 years of unpaid property taxes, and on the third year you haven't still paid your taxes, then you are in danger of having your property enter into a tax lien situation where have you ever gone to this site right here, um, Miami-Dade dot real foreclose dot real foreclose.com. All right, Miami-Dade dot real foreclose.com. This is the clerk of court, and this is the official foreclosure and tax deed sales, right? For Miami-Dade County. If you're working Broward County, you can always go here to the left where it says jump to, and you can just look for Broward County, right? You can look for Broward foreclosures. But when you go to this website and you click on auction calendar, you'll see that on Thursdays we have tax deeds. On Mondays through Wednesdays, we have foreclosure auctions. But on Thursdays, we have tax deeds. And these are all tax deeds that are for sale. So today, there's several tax deed auctions, right? There's at 2 p.m. These are all at 2 p.m. and it's today. And this is a vacant lot, vacant lot. This is a property. These are all up for auction. These are people who have more than 2 years of unpaid property taxes. All right. So you definitely want to try and get a hold of the owners here and see how we can assist them before they get into a more serious situation. So that's another way that you can utilize IMAP. Once again, on the left, it's taxes are delinquent, right? On the left, taxes are delinquent. Say yes, put in a zip code. Let's put in a zip code here of Little Havana. All right, 33135, and let's put in single family home and condominium. And let's click on start search. So combined single family home and condominium in zip code 33135, there are currently 54 people with unpaid property taxes. Now, guys, take a look. On the left, there's like little symbols. And when you see a green symbol, that means that property is active on the MLS. So some of these people have the same mentality. They're actually listing their property for sale. So right now, I've counted three so far, three green symbols. That's it. So out of 54 homes, only three people, but they have the same mentality. They want to sell their property before they lose their property. So let's try and get a hold of some of these owners and offer our assistance. Now, don't go right into the conversation with the owner and say, "Hey, I see that you have unpaid property taxes." No, let them know that you're the area expert and that you would like to assist them perhaps selling the home if they're interested. You know, go to the right, click on the information, and see if you have any contact information. If you don't, then you're gonna have to find other ways to get their contact information. All right. All right, so there's a question on the chat. Why does my IMAP look different? All right, that's an excellent question. I'm gonna go ahead and close IMAP. All right. IMAP has a new version. So if I click on IMAP right now, it's gonna log me into, well, let's sign out. Let's see if I can get into the old version. It is not taking me to the old version. All right, so if you land inside of IMAP's old version, there's a blue link at the top that says use the beta version, which is the new version. This is the new version of IMAP. So you definitely want to get into the new version. Stop using the old version of IMAP. All right, so that's the answer to the question that was on the chat. All right, guys. So there are many ways we can utilize this. Let's say that you are prospecting for multifamily properties. Right? Multifamily properties. You got property use code here. We're going to open this up and you have multifamily homes, 10 units or more. We have multifamily homes, 10 units or less. Let's say I am a commercial agent and I really want to know the owners of every multifamily property that have 10 or more units in zip code 33134. So I'll do this and I'll put in zip code 33134 and click on start search. We have 127 multifamily properties that have 10 or more units that I can now download the spreadsheet with all the owner names and their contact information if available. All right, so if I am prospecting, if I am a commercial agent, or if I have an investor, this is a great way for you guys to look for an off-market property, right? Off-market sale. Approach each and every one of these owners saying that you have a cash investor looking to invest in a multifamily property. You never know. Some of these people are actually ready to sell. All right. So again, utilize IMAP to look for different property types. Now, one of the most important parts of prospecting as a brand new realtor or as a realtor in general is targeting expired listings. So we're going to click on MLS search here, and we are going to now search for expired listings. So listing status, you're going to go here and we're going to click on expired, not relisted. You do not want to mess around with properties that are back on the market. So expired, not relisted. Property type, we're going to go for a single family home. And then city, let's go with the city of, let's go with Miami Gardens. See what we have in Miami Gardens. So Miami Gardens city. Now you want to enter one more field. You want to enter one more field. It's not here. You have to look for it. And that is expired date. Expired date. This allows you to set a date range. Because if I just click on start search, I'm going to get 10 years worth of expired listings in Miami Gardens. We don't want 10 years worth. We maybe want 3 months worth of listings. So you hit expired date, go to the right, and then you want to go back 3 months. So today is March 20th. Let's go to December 20th. All right, so it already says greater than or equal to, and then it's December 20th. Now let's click on start search. And in Miami Gardens, we had 23 homes expire, 23 single family homes expire and not relist. So feel free to download a spreadsheet of all these owners and start contacting them one by one and seeing if you guys can list their home. In most cases, folks, these expired listings are because of pricing, right? Let's take a look at the first one. This was listed for $560,000. Let's click on the blue icon. On the right, we're going to click on Find Comparables. Let's see if we have any comps. So we're going to go ahead and search within a half-mile radius during the last 6 months. And let's click on Update Criteria. So we have three comps. We have three comps. We have an average of 649,600. Why did this property expire? How long was it on the market? You need to figure all these things out before you approach the owner. We had one comp at 600,000, another one at 569.9, and another one at 640. It was listed and expired, right, for 650. Click on MLS here, MLS listing information. It was actually list price for 560, a lot lower. So we need to figure out what's the reason behind the expiration. Maybe the owner had a change of heart and decided to just let the property expire. But if that's not the case, then we need to investigate, right? One of the easiest ways for us to get a listing is to call the expired. Why? Because you have owners who their mentality was to sell their property, right? They wanted to sell their property, but somehow, some way it didn't sell. Maybe a fresh new start with a new realtor will get the job done. All right. And that is what we need to do. We need to call expireds. Guys, every single realtor knows about expired listings, and you have definitely have competition. You're gonna have people calling these expired homes. So come up with a plan and come up with a way for you to contact expired listings immediately, the moment they expire. Okay? So you can always do that simply by going on IMAP, simply by going back here. I'm going to click on back. And instead of entering the expired date, let's click on modify criteria. Instead of entering the expired date of 3 months, let's just go back to the beginning of March. The beginning of March. So within the last 20 days, we've had three expired listings. So maybe you want to contact one of these three expired listings and see if we can place it back on the market. Just out of curiosity, how many of them in the last 20 days actually went back on the market? So if we have three properties that are expired, not relisted, in general, how many expired listings did we have? Three. All right, so every one of the expired listings remained off the market. All right, everyone. So those are your expired listings, guys. You want to search on the MLS, search here on IMAP. Jumping to foreclosure, this is a very interesting topic. Some people are very embarrassed to speak to their family, even if they have a realtor in their family. Facing the harsh reality that they fell behind on their mortgage payments and are now facing a foreclosure lien on their property is quite an embarrassing topic. So, why not talk to a stranger who is not going to judge you? I mean, family shouldn't judge you, but let's maybe take a different approach. Talk to a stranger who is a local real estate expert and can help. So let's target those owners. So how can we do this? Foreclosure search, Miami-Dade County, property use code. Let's go for single family homes. And then let's put in here zip code. Let's put in zip code um 33145. Right? Zip code 33145. Let's click on start search. There are 18 single family homes currently under foreclosure, right? In zip code 33145. We have plaintiff name JP Morgan Chase, Wilmington Savings Fund. We have here Carrington Mortgage Services, JP Morgan Chase, US Bank Trust National. So these are all opportunities for us to sell their homes. Guys, look how many green labels active for sale, active for sale. pending for sale, active for sale. So some of these people are already being proactive and trying to sell their home before they lose their home to foreclosure. So it is our opportunity right now to click on the right-hand side, right? See who owns the property and target them. Let's go ahead and talk to them and say, hey, look, my name is Robert, and I am a realtor here in the Coral Gables area or the 33145 area, and I would love to help. Are you thinking of selling the home? Property values are still high. We can maximize. In most cases, we can get you cash, right? We can get you to capitalize on the existing equity on your home. It's unfortunate some of these people fall behind on their mortgage payments and they have equity on their home. But because the interest rates are so high, they refuse to refinance or take out an equity line to make up the difference. So what happens is that they kind of fall behind on their mortgage payments to the point where now they have a foreclosure lien on their property. All right. So yes, let's utilize IMAP for foreclosure searches. Let me show you another style of foreclosure that is like approaching the very deadline of their existence, right? So we're gonna go ahead and stick to foreclosures in Miami-Dade County. Let's click on single family home and let's look at judgment auction date. Let's look at auction date. Auction date, and let's put in today's date. So greater than or equal to in all of Miami-Dade County single family homes. Let's go ahead and click on start search. Guys, there's 119 homes right now that already have a foreclosure auction date. April 14th, March 31st, April 21st. They've already been served with papers and notices letting them know their property is up for auction. Look how many of these are not listed. That's listed, right? Look how many of these are not listed. That's listed. We need to target all these owners and say, hey, why lose your property to auction when you can probably sell the property and profit, right? A lot of these people, luckily, the market is extremely high here in South Florida. A lot of these people are looking at having additional funds like equity in their home. If you want to know, you just click on the blue here and you'll see here, I mean, wow, this is crazy. This is a very expensive property. The judgment here on this one is $5,397,000. $5,397,000 is their debt. All right. But what's the property worth, guys? Estimated value of $8 million. Estimated value of $8 million. Well, guess what? They're selling this property. Let's look at the MLS listing information. They're selling the property for $10,771,000. So they owe the bank nearly $6 million, right? They have a judgment against them for nearly $6 million, and they're trying to sell it for $10.7 million. So at this point, they would have notified the bank, hey, don't foreclose on our home. We are listing the property and we will pay off that debt once we sell the property. So go back to this list, attack the homeowners that are not listing their property, and let them know there is a way for us to sell the property, put money in your pocket, and not lose the property to foreclosure. All right. So, question on the chat: when we call them, do we mention that? How do we approach? It's a little aggressive mentioning right away that they're in foreclosure. You want to talk to them about you being an area expert, that you are a real estate agent, and that you're just contacting owners. You want to, build some type of rapport with them. Maybe send them some postcard, maybe knock on the door. But when you do approach them, you definitely don't want to talk about their foreclosure case. Let them know. Ask them, how long have you been living in the property? Right? How do you like the neighborhood? things of that nature. Let them volunteer the fact that they are, that they're facing a foreclosure. Okay? All right. Now let's jump right into Remind because it's a really great tool that I want to show you, especially the filters that you see on the left-hand side of the map inside of Remind. All right, so yes, you have filters on IMAP, right? I mean, you most definitely have a lot of filters on IMAP and you have tax search, MLS search, and foreclosure search. But take a look at the filters you have on Remind. You have property value, home equity. You can target homeowners that have equity. You can target owners by ownership time. You can target owners by sell score. You can target owners by absentee, right? Whether they are investors or homestead exemption. You can target owners by mortgage age, number of loans they have in their property, loan types, original loan amounts, distressed deals, so foreclosures. You can even look for cash buyers. All right, so let's say I'm gonna go ahead and by the way, you can enter any property address as I did before, and you can find out that property information. You can enter a zip code, a city, a neighborhood name, and you can find the neighborhood. But if you guys know the map, and let's say you know exactly where you're going and you want to target a particular area, I'm gonna go down south to Kendall, right? You see this area right here, Three Lakes? All right, I'm gonna go ahead and try and target that area. Let's go to Three Lakes right there. All right. So these are the Three Lakes. This is the corner of 137th Avenue, Southwest 152nd Street. I'm gonna go ahead and draw. You see right here, polygon, rectangular shape, and circle. Let's draw a rectangular shape like this. In there, there are 1,407 homes. 1,407 homes. Let's say you just wanted to do Three Lakes. Let's do a better shape. All right, let's zoom in here a little bit and let's do a polygon. All right, let's do a polygon and let's do this. All right, to be more specific, that is the neighborhood now of Three Lakes. Okay. So in there, there are probably a little less, like maybe 1,000 homes. There's 992 homes, right? 992 homes. Now, you can always download all 992 homes to create a folder and add all the homes, call it Three Lakes, and then download the results. To show you how to do that, you just go here to the right where it says select all, you select them all, and then you come over here to the right where it says cart, you click on cart, and you're gonna go here and you're gonna call this Three Lakes. All right, Three Lakes. Let's go ahead and create right here. It says create Three Lakes. Let's go ahead and create that and add all 992 properties to my Three Lakes cart. Now that you did that, you have here on the left carts, and you will see here the first cart you just created or the last cart you just created called Three Lakes with your 992 properties. When you select all the properties, you can export a spreadsheet. You can send mailers directly from your computer, or you can print mailing labels. So once again, for prospecting, this is one of the premier tools. When you click on export, you can export all of the information or hand choose or hand pick the information you would like to export. So if you look at my screen, I have pre-selected several options. Absentee status. I also selected estimated value. I selected the mailing address information. I selected the owner information, and I also selected the property information or the property address information. All right, I'm going to go ahead and click on export. So the system is now going to create a spreadsheet. Oh, let's call this Three Lakes. And let's click on export. The system is now going to create a spreadsheet with 992 properties, and I'm going to have their phone numbers and email addresses. I'm going to have their contact information. All right, so it's creating a spreadsheet, and you will see shortly a spreadsheet with all of their contact information. All right, so on the right, we have here success, and we'll notify you in a few minutes when the download is ready. So, send mailers, obviously, it allows you to create postcards. All right, so if you are into creating postcards and sending out postcards, I do not advise you to do 992 properties. That's going to be a lot of money, right? That's going to be like $800. All right, but we're gonna go ahead and just show you real quick here the different option of postcards that you can do. So 992 properties for a 4.25 inch by 6 inch postcard is $761. So you definitely want to pick a smaller neighborhood. All right. But you have the different postcards here that you guys can create with their pricing. You click on get started and it takes you through the different designs and you can customize the designs and send out your mailers from your computer. I would say target something more of 200 homes. Every month, 200 homes. It's going to be about 150, $150. All right. You're going to get results. Eventually, you're going to get results. We all receive mailers from different realtors. At some point, an owner is going to save your postcard and they're going to call you. Okay. So be consistent, not just 992 homes. That's just too much. I mean, unless your budget really stretches that far, then I believe that's too much. But let's go back to search. All right. Let's go back to search here. And let's go back to the Three Lakes community and let's learn how to use the filters on the left because I believe they're great filters, right? So if 992 homes is too much and you want to target owners, one of the greatest tools Remind has is sell score. Sell score. Let's click on sell score. You have low, median, and high. Go directly to the high sell score. And let's click on apply. We are left with 36 properties. Remind feels very strongly about these 36 properties that 50% of these owners, all right, need to sell their home or would need to sell their home within the next 6 months. It's an algorithm, it's a some type of calculation they have. They don't tell us the reason why, but if they are telling you that you have a 50% chance of selling one of these 36 homes, then let's go ahead and contact them. Click on the property, right? Click on the property, find out more information on the property, who owns the property, find out if they have any debt on the property history, mortgage history, and then go down here to owner and associated people, and there is contact information for the owner. If you click here, you will see their phone number and email address. Now, I'm not going to show it to you because I usually get taken off of YouTube when I show people's phone numbers. So I am not going to do that. All right. But believe me, it's there. Okay. Now, what else can we do? Sell score high. So this is like someone handing you 36 leads right away. Right. Let's remove the sell score and let's take a look. How many of these 992 homes are homestead exemption? So click on absentee owners and let's click on owner occupant. Click on apply. We are left with 770. So the majority of these homeowners actually live in their property, but you still have a great deal of absentee owners in Florida and outside of Florida. Click on apply. We have 59. So if you are targeting maybe investor owned homes, right? Homes that are owned by investors, that's 59 properties where the owner lives outside of Three Lakes. They may live in another state. And if you want to find out which ones live in another state, just remove absentee in state and just leave this one, absentee out of state. There are 9. I'm going to click on one. Where does this homeowner live? See all. All right, where do they live? Where do they live? Mexico City. Look at that. Mexico City. All right. And do they have a mortgage? They do not have a mortgage. 100% equity on their home. Okay. All right. Let's remove the filter for absentee owner. Let's take a look at another filter here on the left. Let's look for ownership time. Let's say we wanted to target owners that have a minimum of 20 years at their property, 20 plus years. That's 251 homeowners who have a minimum of 20 years. Let's increase that number. Instead of 20 years, let's click here minimum and let's write 30 years. Apply. There are four, right? Four. So 30 years ago is 1995. 1995. So not sure if this neighborhood of Three Lakes was fully built yet 30 years ago, but there are four owners, right, that have been at their property for 30 years. Wouldn't you think they would be ready to downsize? I mean, take a look, guys. One of them is a sell score high. One of them right here is a sell score high. So let's try and contact the owners and see if they're ready to downsize, right? They're ready to downsize, maybe buy a condo, or maybe they want to go to a retirement community and they want to sell their home. Okay. So utilize the ownership time. Let's delete the ownership time. Let's go here to the left and let's look for one more. Let's look for mortgage age. You can search for different ages of mortgages, and you can also search for people who do not have a mortgage. So has no mortgage, apply. There are 270 home owners here who are 100% equity owners of their property. Now, that's living the American dream. You've paid off your home. Perhaps you're not going to sell. But what if they are going to sell? What if they're going to sell within the next year and they just don't know it yet? You definitely want to introduce yourself as the area expert for Three Lakes in Kendall. You want them to know who you are. So within that year, when it comes across your mind, I want to list my property, they call you. Okay. So we're prospecting, maybe not for immediate results, but for long-term results. Okay. I'm not saying you're not going to get immediate results. Maybe you will, but you definitely want to target all 270 100% equity owners. And you never know. Maybe they want to use you to buy an investment property, right? Maybe they want you to use you to buy an investment property. Now, take a look, guys. I'm going to go ahead and combine the mortgage age with absentee corporate owned. How many investors bought a property in Three Lakes with their LLC or corporation? 101 homes. 101 homes bought cash, or not cash, but they do not have a mortgage, and they're investors. They're LLCs or corporations. So these are investment owned homes. All right. Great, great ways for us to utilize RPR for prospecting, for fishing. That's pretty much what we're doing. We're fishing for good results, right? We're fishing for good results. Any area in the entire nation, you have a nationwide search up here. All right. So any area in the entire nation, you're able to do this. Now, this next and last exercise that we're going to cover is how to determine the highest or lowest turnover rate in any neighborhood. All right. So the reason why you want to know the turnover rate is, well, I want to make sure that I'm going to target a neighborhood that's actually selling. If you are trying to infiltrate a neighborhood that has less than 1% turnover, I would say less than anything less than 2.5% turnover is low. That means that you are going to spend your money to prospect that neighborhood and probably not get many results because you have less than 2% of the neighborhood selling. Now, if it's over 5% turnover or even 10% turnover, then you know there's movement. All right, you know there's movement and we should target them. So let's take a look. We're gonna go here and we're gonna click on search and we're gonna click on RE1, right? And let's see here. Let's do this. Subdivision name, Lakes on the Green. Not cakes, but lakes. Lakes on the Green. All right. So, Lakes on the Green is a community in Miami Lakes with single family homes. There are currently 11 single family homes for sale. There's 11 single family homes for sale, right? Now I'm going to go to IMAP because IMAP is a true barometer of how many sales occurred in any area. If you were to look for the sales in Matrix, right? If you were to look for the sales in Matrix, you would only have the sales that occurred in the MLS. So you definitely want to look inside of IMAP. So we're going to go ahead and open up IMAP and we're going to do the same, but we're going to do it for sold properties. Okay? So we're going to do it for sold properties. So subdivision name, well, we mentioned it's Lakes on the Green. Right? I'm trying to prospect Lakes on the Green in Miami-Dade County. Now we're looking for single family homes, right? And there are, what happened here? Let's refresh this screen. Contains, Lakes on the Green contains. Let's see that. All right, there you go. All right, so there are 539 homes. 539 homes. Now, how many homes sold in the last year? And that's going to give you your turnover. All right. So I'm going to modify this criteria and we're going to go here to sale date and go back 1 year. 03/20/2024. 03/20/2024. Let's click on start search. There were 35 sales, right? Out of 539 homes. What percentage is that? What percentage is that? Do you guys know how to do that? All right. You're going to go 35 divided by 539. And it's 6.5%. There is a 6.5% turnover in Lakes on the Green within the last year. That is a very high turnover rate. All right. In today's market, that's a very high turnover rate. Back in 2021, that would be considered low because the properties were selling like hotcakes and there was a turnover rate of 10, 12%. But 6.5% is, it's a good idea. And the reason why I looked up the properties in Matrix is to see how much competition I have today. So there are 11 properties currently for sale at Lakes on the Green, and there were 35 sales within the last year out of 539 homes. And the way that I came up with the percentage was that you do 35 divided by 539. 35 homes divided by 539 gives you your percentage. And the percentage that was returned was 6.4% turnover. Okay. Now, if I go back and I do this, modify criteria, show me in the last 2 years. So let's go back to March 20th, 2023. If we had 35 homes and now we have 75 homes, that means that the turnover um actually went down because if we had 35 in 1 year and 40 homes in from March 20th, 2023 to March 20th, 2024, we had 40 homes. All right, so we had five more sales that year. So the turnover slightly went down. Either way, guys, there's a good feeling about this community, about trying to sell in this community. I would definitely infiltrate this community. If you found a community where there are 500 homes and you had five sales in the last year, or even worse, five sales in the last 2 years, then what are the chances someone is going to want to sell? You're going to go ahead and invest your hard-earned money in sending postcards with the idea that someone's going to want to sell when it's clear that no one is selling. It's really up to you. I'm not going to tell you what to do, but that is how you determine turnover rates. And then don't forget this, guys. Don't forget a very, really, really important report that you guys can run in Matrix to help you decide whether that market is good or not. Go to more inside of Matrix, market reports. And let's run the market conditions report on the left. You are going to remove coming soon and active with contract, and you're going to select active and close within the last 365 days. So within the last 365 days, single family home and subdivision name Lakes on the Green. Check it out. So click on generate report and this is going to tell you the inventory. Guys, there's something happening in this neighborhood. We went from 7 homes available to 3 homes available between the months of September and December of last year to now 11 homes. So there's a spike in active listings. We went from having 1.2 months of inventory to now 16 months of inventory. So there is a definite buyer's market in this neighborhood. There are too many options right now for sale with not enough buyers. They only sold 2 properties in the last 3 months. So use these numbers and determine whether this is a good enough community for you guys to prospect or not. All right. All right, guys, we covered a lot today. Does anyone have any questions on what we did today? We barely did any condos, but you apply the same rule to condos as well. Okay. All right, guys. So
Yes.
you have a question, Claudio, or?
No, no, no. Yeah, I understand.
Oh, okay, perfect, perfect. Guys, this is one of my favorite classes. I really love it because it actually puts us to work when we're not doing anything. As realtors, we need to be researching as much as talking to clients, right? I mean, so let's get to prospecting, trying to find our niche, trying to find our neighborhood, and then let's attack the neighborhood. Let's go out there and get listings, guys. All right. So thank you so much for joining us in today's class. I will post this video onto YouTube in a few hours, guys. So thank you again. Have a wonderful day, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you, guys. Bye bye now.